M3GAN is a 2022 American science fiction horror film directed by Gerald Johnstone, written by Akela Cooper, from a story by Cooper and James Wan, who also produced with Jason Blum, and starring Allison Williams and Violet McGraw, with Amy Donald physically portraying M3GAN and Jenna Davis voicing the character. Its plot follows the eponymous, artificially intelligent doll who develops self awareness and becomes hostile towards anyone who comes between her and her human companion. Thanks for stopping by Thirsty Channel. I am Thirsty, and that is a little bit of a description and what to expect from the film M3GAN. It's described as a science fiction horror film, but also to me it's a psychological horror thriller. I like it because it doesn't lend itself too much to being gory and all this blood and body parts being flung all over the place and people's heads being chopped off. It's like seems like it's insinuated the deaths, meaning somebody dies, but you don't see the aftermath. Well, you kind of do with the character of David and his assistant, the elevator. But what I like about this is that it doesn't lend itself to, to kind of, what do you call it, relying on that. I don't like those horror movies, even though I've seen them and I can appreciate them. But those hack and slash, and gory and body parts being chopped off and stuff like that. I mean, I got tired of the Saw series after three because I'm thinking, what are they gonna do? They're gonna keep showing us just how much they can gross us out, and what's the next clever way of a person trying to get out of a room or trying to save themselves with a device that's gonna blow their head off and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Kind of got thing after a while. So I like this. I like Silence of the Lambs. It's more psychological. There's of course some gory stuff in there, but it's very very intelligent. And this one. And the thing about intelligence in this one is the fact that the intelligence, artificial wise, it's not too good when you have a doll that's controlled that way and gets smarter with every turn. It just continues to just evolve on its own. Now, M3GAN is kind of what do you call it, an acronym, or it's a shortened for Model 3 Generative Android. I'm thinking M3GAN, so wouldn't it be M3GAN, like GEN, not M3GAN, right? And that's here, neither here nor there. But the movie really was very very entertaining, very enjoyable. I've not watched a horror film or a movie of this type of genre that really engrossed me and really made me just not even take my eyes off of anything but the screen. It really was well done, well written. I mean, James Wan does not fail in anything he's done. He's done Annabelle, and I guess that's where he went from Annabelle and decided, okay, I'm gonna do it a different way. Not a haunted doll or not a doll that has some supernatural thing going with it, but let's see what happens when you have a doll that's created to rely on AI and stuff like that, and see where we can go with that. Now this thing is very campy. It's very very comical at times, but it's funny because I don't really feel anything bad for those that M3GAN took out. If you look at those that M3GAN killed, they really weren't innocent victims. Meaning, they did things that ticked her off. I mean, she started with the dog. The dog that bit Katie because Katie was shooting bow and arrows, just plastic ones with a little thing that stick to the wall, sticks to the window and all that stuff. That I had those, and everybody did. And M3GAN, with her locating thing, her ability to find things, finds it that's on the other side of the fence. So she goes over there, and there's a hole there that I don't understand why Gemma didn't fix it. There's a big hole there, and she keeps complaining about the dog coming over to her property. Yet, how about you fix the fence? I mean, she's somebody. It's kind of like a way to show you that there's so many things that she's not paying attention to because she's such a workaholic. even her relationship with her niece, Katie. And she goes over there, and when Megan goes to grab the arrow, the dog bites Megan, and then Katie's like, get off her, and then the dog bites her. And then what happens later on is that Megan, who's able to record, mimic people, uses the voice of the owner to lure the dog in to their side, and then she kills the dog. She reveals that it was miles away, buried 5 feet deep, to the owner, and she kills the owner, the lady, by using insecticide, which Gemma accused her of spraying on her side, or it, spilling over to her property and everything. Now, she kills her, and then there's suspicion now. Maybe Gemma, has something to do with it. The cop even says, this is the second incident. How about that boy? Speaking of the boy, the bully, a little punk who even cussed out his own mom and calls her by her first name. Just shut the fuck up or fuck off. And, unfortunately, I've even heard it in stores, and I've heard it in places where there's kids that talk like that. And I know back in the day, man, I would have been slapped even by a person in the store. And, my parents wouldn't even bat an eye. Well, oh, thank you for doing that. You kind of put my kid in place. Nowadays, it's like you can't do that. Even the parents can't even chastise them verbally, which is a sad thing. But anyway, that happens. And then, Megan kills David, who is I guess you could say, the guy who's in charge of Funky. What is it called? Funky? What is? Yeah, Funky. Funky. That's weird. Funki. Funky. Some people might say that's a stinky. That's a stinky company, right? Whatever, Funky. But anyway, almost like Funko, where they're trying to do a little twist on it. Funko, because of Funko Pops, and there's even like a little thing that looks like a Funko Pop, right? But actually it was a ball or something. It looked like that thing that Luke Skywalker was training with, that orb thing that shot lasers, and he had to kind of, be able to deflect it and block it and everything like that. And he does that. He kills David, and he kills his associate there, his partner, whatever you want to call him, whatever the guy's name was. Let's see. I'm trying to see what his name is. Oh, Kurt. And this guy was actually stealing the secrets. And I'm thinking that, because, they were thinking, okay, when they gave up his presentation, they show a bigwig, a guy who has a major company, and they wanted financing or whatever you want to call it. And then he said, whatever you do, don't let this leak. Let's work on it. And then that guy Kurt's sending files to somebody or saving files for himself. Maybe he was going to try to steal the idea. And the thing that's funny is that don't do that, right? And yet Katie takes her to, not Katie, but Gemma takes, Megan to like a park where there's kids, and they're there, and of course that Brendan, whatever that little kid's name is there, and he's bullying her and Katie and taking the Megan doll with her. I'm thinking, yeah, you just messed your life up, man. He's doing that, and he's like straddling her, and he's like slapping her around and stuff, and then Megan grabs his ear, rips it off, and then this is where you run. Very, very funny line from her. It's like almost like a Arnold Schwarzenegger type thing, where Arnold Schwarzenegger had these quippy lines, right? And he would say these lines before he kills somebody. And then she does pretty much is just, chase the kid off. Kid tumbles down the hill into oncoming traffic, gets run over. You only see a streak there and a little foot, and then later on, you see a piece of his arm that's put into a body bag. But you don't see him get run over. You don't see nothing. You see that. You see the lady, the next door neighbor, get sprayed with poison, insecticide. You don't see the aftermath of that. David and you don't see them get killed, right? But you see what happens afterwards, right? That's what I like about this movie. Not that I'm squeamish or anything, but sometimes you get to a point where you're like, you don't want to keep seeing that crap, And especially to the point when you get desensitized to it, I think that's the time to stop watching those films, because If that don't affect you, I don't, and it really doesn't, but you get tired of it after a while. So that's what I like about this film. More psychological than anything. It's a thriller, science fiction because of course it's dealing with AI. We have like iRobot and all these other movies that shows what happens when robots go wrong and stuff like that. Even we see cars that go wrong and Maximum Overdrive, that shitty thing. It was a great concept, but it was directed by Stephen King, and that guy can't direct for crap. He could write, but that's a good thing that he just stuck to that. The only one that he directed, and then he moved on. But this movie did have a really really sad start, tragic start when she lost her parents. Katie did, and then she ends up with Gemma, and Gemma is her aunt, but she's very very detached because her work is all that was important to her. And she doesn't know how to take care of a kid, and she doesn't even have any kind of relationship until she introduces Bruce, this prototype, this robot that she did and created in, what do you call it, in college. And then she's all enthralled, and then she smiles for the first time, Katie does. And then when she sees how she interacts and like that, she's like, it makes Gemma, her aunt, fast track the M3GAN robot and make it better, because when she first tried it, they had the face and everything, and malfunctioned. The guy said, "Oh, he didn't put the certain thing into the head part to kind of, I don't know, to kind of make sure that it didn't do what it did. I don't understand. I don't understand why he didn't put it in there right away. It's just like, oh, I forgot to put this thing, and it's like, well. But this thing really isn't like your normal doll type of movies like that I've seen that relied so much on horror element, jump scares, the typical things you see in those type of films. This thing is pretty slick. It's pretty smart, intelligent, like M3GAN. And I really enjoyed this film. The actors and the actresses in this film did a great job. There's some campiness there, but not too over the top. I think the leads there, got Allison Williams to play Gemma, and then you have Violet McGraw as Katie. Very, very good actresses. And then Amy Donald is actually a dancer. She's a 12, 13-year-old girl, and she's actually a dancer. And I guess that's why she's able to play a robot. And she was doing that one dance thing, so I guess that's kind of a thing right there. And then Jenna Davis, who actually does the voice for her, for M3GAN. And it was creepy when I first saw it, but when I watched it, I'm like, going, yeah, I could see her. I mean, it's funny. I could see her and not be, scared anymore or be thrown. The people in the movie that saw her, the characters that saw the doll for the first time, like that one camp counselor, I think that's what she was, and she saw the doll and she kind of startled, but then she goes, "Oh, that's pretty cool." Later on, like that, and then, but this movie was, like I said, it was a lot of fun. It was very, very funny. It was, scary at some points, but it's almost like I didn't even care about the people that died, in the sense that M3GAN did what she only did because it's like her job to protect Katie. And then at the end, and it's funny because it was until like 20 minutes left, 23 minutes left, is when all of that killing spree really, really took off. When she really, really went this batshit crazy, and she just started going off on people and stuff like that. I mean, she almost killed Gemma, and then of course she just goes off and she kills David, she kills Kurt. She just runs rampant, just all over the place. And the final fight scene was pretty it was like really really good, well done, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if the M3GAN, I'm sure it was played by a stuntman. You're not gonna have that actress Amy Donald doing those scenes, right? It has to be a small person, or maybe just up close, but it was an actual thing. Or maybe Allison Williams was probably working with a robot, maybe, or even a mannequin or a doll, whatever. But it was a great fight scene, really really intense. The thing about it is that when Bruce was brought into the picture, and then what do you call it, Katie had the gloves and she went like this, and then it made the robot come up, and then the robot was fighting with her and then ripped her apart. And then her upper body is almost like it reminded me of Terminator, where the Terminator was cut in half, but then what happened? The top part of it was crawling towards Sarah Connor, right? And then that's when they got into to that compactor, and then she goes, "So you're terminated, fucker," and then closed it, and then it squashed them. Here it's just like she's going after Gemma, who at this point is squashed by, well, the robot fell on her, Bruce. And the thing about it, when she got free, or however she got it, she went off to Gemma, ripped her face off, started taking her eyeballs out, all this stuff, and then you see the little thing there in her head, a square thing. That's pretty much the life force of her, And she was trying to do it, and she was getting her pretty much her life choked out of her, Gemma was. And then with a screwdriver in hand, Katie, stabs it right in the head, right in the middle of that thing there, and she ends up, pretty much, for all intents and purposes, killed it. And then when you see her assistants show up, the end, Gemma's assistants, and then you see Katie and Gemma walk off, and then all of a sudden the Ellie thing, what's the name of that Ellie? That kind of like a take on Alexis or Siri, and then you see it turn on and look towards their way, and definitely there's no question that there is it's a sign of a sequel, because they already mentioned and already announced that there's going to be one. And it's slated for January 17, 2025, and it's called M3GAN 2.0, which M3GAN 2.0. So it's almost like one of those things where it's just like that's like something I've heard so many times. 2.0, like, because it's an alternate model. Is there going to be a different model or something like that? Is that Ellie thing, Siri thing, whatever, gonna help rebuild it? It's gonna build itself. I don't know. But the two characters, the two lead actresses, that are gonna are going to return. So that's a good thing. I actually like those two. They're really, really good actresses. They really, really play their roles really well. I love just how you see it. You see so many different emotions between the two. I mean, there's a point where Katie slaps or punches her own aunt, and then she says sorry about it because he's just without M3GAN, and she totally is very, very relies on her too much. Just like with kids and their gadgets nowadays. You take that away from them and they're going to be hysterical, slapping everybody. I want this, I want it back, give it to me, give me my phone, give me this. And she's like, give me M3GAN, oh, I want M3GAN, I want to see her again, and things like that. So I like the thing about it, and the kind of almost like social commentary. It's almost like talking about what happens, and also the fear that everybody has, that, oh my God, one day, these robots, these machines are going to take over. And we see it in movies time and again over the decades, and I don't think it'll ever happen. But it's always nice to see, the people making movies and go, let's see what happens. Let's explore that. And it's something to think about. But I don't know if it'll ever happen, because it hasn't happened up to now. It hasn't happened, despite the craziness that's happened in recent years. We haven't seen that happen yet. But anyway, that is my review, my recap and thoughts on M3GAN. Might not have been in depth, might not have covered everything, but I covered pretty much everything that I can remember and what I enjoyed about it. Like I said, it's a very, very good film. A lot of fun, a lot of great moments of this horror in there. Psychological. Like I said, it's a horror film, but a psychological thriller at the same time. And it's about a artificially intelligent robot that thinks for itself in the end. And I like these kind of films, and this thing was really surprisingly well, and it's like totally made up about 165 million right now, and I believe, what was it, like 94% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a pretty good deal. A lot of these kind of movies like this don't get that high of a rating, not that I can remember. So it's critically acclaimed. A lot of people like it. There's some picky critics here and there, but they're trying to be different than everybody else. Oh, everybody likes the movie, I'm gonna hate it. Because I don't see nothing to hate about this movie. It was well done, well written, well acted. produced, directed. The director might even return. I hope he does, because he's the one that directed the film, and without him, the movie wouldn't be as good. We need the directors there, the writers there, the actors and actresses, and whomever to can return so that they can just continue from this film, and the success and everything like that. But like I said, I liked it from beginning, middle to end, and that's all I can say about it. I'm not gonna talk too long about it. Going on 20 minutes, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna say about this film. Like I said, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. Hopefully they change it from 2.0 to something else, because that's been used a little bit too much. But anyway, that's my review of M3GAN. And I recommend it. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I don't know why you would watch this video. But if you haven't and you just happen to want to watch this video, hopefully I didn't spoil too much. But if you see something that says M3GAN review, watch the film first, and then you can watch someone's video that doing a review. But anyway, if I keep doing this, I'm going to keep talking, and I might go another 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. But anyway, that's my video. So for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. And in closing, as always, take care.